All right, back again. You know, we've been talking about this, Eric and I, on the Ringside Reporter podcast show. We've been discussing about the rematch, and I told Eric that I was very skeptical of the rematch even happening. We all know Eddie Hearn has hinted that the rematch is going to happen either in November or December. And he's also hinted that he wants it to be in the UK, and he seemed pretty confident that Ruiz would agree to the fight in the UK. Um, and as I said, I was skeptical about the rematch happening, but I was even more skeptical about if the rematch was going to be agreed upon and it was going to happen. I had said that I don't think that the negotiations are going to go as smooth as Eddie Hearn thinks or as most people think. It's not going to be the same situation. Ruiz's team is not going to give in to all of the concessions and make all the concessions and be as conciliatory as they were obviously going into the first fight because now they're the champions. They have all the titles, and the game has changed. The situation is different now. So I want to read some quotes here from shout out to AB Boxing News here on YouTube because they did a great interview with Andy Ruiz and also the Sun, which is a UK website, wrote an article about the interview that AB Boxing News did, and I want to just mention a few of these quotes here to kind of support what I've said all along that this is not going to be an easy negotiations. Everything is not going to go Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua's way this time around. They're the ones that are possibly going to have to make some concessions this time as opposed to Team Ruiz. All right, so let's look at this here. Ruiz had said in this interview, I don't want to let those belts go. I'm going to stay dedicated. He said, I have the upper advantage right now. And when he was asked about the rematch in the UK, he said, I know that's what Hearn says. As long as I talk to Al Heyman and my team, we're going to figure out where. Really doesn't matter where, as long as we get back in the ring, if we show the fans what they want to see. But then he went on to say, I'd love to have it here in New York or LA. He said, I have to look at the contract. I'm the champion. I call the shots now. So we're going to see what happens. So I don't think that Al Heyman, when he does sit down with Andy Ruiz, is gonna advise him to take this rematch in the UK. I think they are going to push for either New York or LA. I think they're probably going to push for LA, maybe do it at the Staples Center because again, first Mexican heavyweight world champion. Why not do it in front of a crowd that has a lot of Mexicans and Hispanic people there? Why not maximize, being the first Mexican heavyweight champion? Why would you go over to the UK where again he's going to be at a disadvantage because it's definitely going to be set up to favor AJ over there. We already know that. We saw what happened to Joseph Parker. We saw other situations. Carlos Takam, how that fight was stopped in the 10th round when it probably shouldn't have. So we know that there's a reason why Eddie Hearn wants that fight in the UK because obviously it gives AJ the best possible chance of winning that fight. And if I'm Team Ruiz and I'm Al Heyman, I'm advising against allowing that fight to be in the UK or agreeing to have that fight in the UK. That's just my opinion. And that's just how I see it going. But that's even if this rematch happens. That's the big if. So there is a rematch clause in there, but we don't know the specifics of that rematch clause. Generally, when there is a rematch clause, the second fight, the rematch, needs to still be negotiated. They don't already have a contract drawn up for the next fight before the first fight ends. It just makes no sense to do that because you don't know the result of the first fight yet. So until you would know the result of the first fight, that's when you'd have to actually come up with a contract for the second fight. So a lot of people are sitting there saying, "Oh, well, the terms have already been agreed. It's already written in the contract." Blah blah blah. Nobody knows what's written in that rematch clause. Nobody fucking knows. Andy Ruiz doesn't even know what's in that rematch clause. So if Andy Ruiz doesn't even know what's in that rematch clause, if he has to go back and read it and check it, and his team has to go back and read it and check it, then how the fuck would you guys know? So, and I hear people say all types of stupid shit. Oh, well, the purses are already agreed upon. The date and location have already been agreed upon. It's already written in the contract that the rematch. No, even Eddie Hearn said himself when he was asked. He first said, we're going to do it in the UK. But then he was asked later during interviews after the fight. He was saying, well, that's what we wanted, but we're going to have to sit down and figure it out. Even Eddie Hearn had said that they're going to have to sit down and figure it out. So that tells you right there, listening to Eddie Hearn's statements and listening to Andy Ruiz Jr.'s statements, that the venue and the location, the date and all that stuff and the purses and all, none of that stuff's been agreed to. There's still a negotiation process that is going to have to take place before this rematch gets done. And that's if it gets done. I'm still skeptical about the rematch happening. And if I'm Anthony Joshua and I'm part of Anthony Joshua's team, I'm telling him to take a long period of time off. You guys already know my stance on that. And I'm telling him to take a tune-up fight in between before going right back in there with Ruiz. I just think it's a bad style matchup. I agree with Eric on that one. Eric said the same thing. He just thinks it's a bad style matchup. So with all that being said, like I said, there's a lot of ifs involved in this. And it's going to be curious to see in the next coming weeks how this all plays out. And I'm sure we're going to hear, more rumors about AJ's training camp and certain things that have happened that shouldn't have happened. Now another rumor I'm hearing is AJ was sparring without headgear on. That's the other rumor that's been put out there. So I'm sure as time goes on, we're going to hear more and more rumors. But I am very skeptical of Eddie Hearn, who had also said that he's going to make an announcement about this fight in the next 3 days, letting us know when and where it's going to happen in the next 3 days. I'm very skeptical about that. I just don't see that happening. Shout out to D-Style. Thank you so much in the chat for the super chat. He said he has a video request. Stephen A. Smith comments and bashing Ruiz. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video about that. We should have done a collaboration on that. Actually, we fucked up, or I fucked up. I should have set some time aside for you, and we could have sat down and did a collaboration. We could still do a collaboration if you want today, because I'm pretty much got a light day today. Probably gonna take today off from the gym, so this is a good day to make a lot of videos. Larry Merchant says Dillian White had the amount and everything locked in his contract, so I imagine the same will be for. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Larry Merchant? Again with your stupidity. Dillian White did not have the amount. He had the percentage. In his rematch clause, it said that it would be a 60-40 split. That was the only thing that was revealed. Okay? He said in his rematch clause, that even if he won, the split would be the same. That's all that he said. You're saying he had everything locked. You don't know what is everything. The only thing he revealed was that if he signed to fight AJ, the rematch clause stated that he would get the same percentage in a rematch that he got in the first fight, even if he won. That was the only thing that was revealed, and that's the only thing you should be commenting on, because that's all that you know. Saying everything was locked in is not true. It's not fucking true. Because Eddie would not have said, "Oh, we still have to figure it out." Andy Ruiz would not have said, "Well, I still have to talk to Al Heyman." If everything was already ironed out and agreed to, then it would have been announced already. So you don't know everything is locked in. And I just explained to you and gave you quotes from Andy Ruiz. So apparently, according to Andy Ruiz, everything is not locked in. Everything is not locked in. So stop with the speculation and stop with the rumors. You could say that you would think that there's some things locked, but they're not locked in. They're not locked in. So you don't know if what's going on and what's not going on because it hasn't been put out there. You clearly don't want it to be. No need to. I don't want it to be in the UK. I've already made that clear. But I have no control over that. I have no fucking control of that. I clearly have said that I do not want it to be in the UK. I apologize. You did say I imagine. You did say I imagine. You are correct. Yeah, I was listening to it, D-Style. It was a great video that you made. I apologize. You did say I imagine, so you weren't definitive on your statement. I retract the last statement. But I don't realize, I don't understand how you can imagine when Hearn himself said that it hasn't been cleared. It hasn't been cleared yet on where it's going to be and all that. Even Hearn himself said they still have to go over it and figure it out. So it's on YouTube. He said it. He's immediately after the fight, he said it's in the UK. But then afterwards, when he was doing the interviews, he said, "Well, I would like it to be in the UK, but we still have to work on that." So that's what he said. And I already read you Andy Ruiz's quotes. And like I said, I just don't see Al Heyman giving up his leverage here. EJ Boxing Live says Big Al has all the belts now. Next, Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz Jr. I mean, there's already been bad blood because of the Deontay Wilder situation with Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn's already been taking shots at PBCs, taking shots at Al Heyman before. Again, I now that Al Heyman has the leverage, I just don't think that he's going to give it up so easily. And I know people are going to be out there saying, "Oh, AJ's still the name," blah, blah, blah. And he probably is. He probably could still today generate more money than any other heavyweight in the world. That's fine. But again, he doesn't have the belts anymore. That's a gigantic piece of leverage that he lost, as well as Eddie Hearn. So I just don't think that they're in a position to dictate where this rematch is going to be held. And if they can't agree to terms, then guess what? Goes to purse bids. And if it goes to purse bids, AJ's going to get the smaller chunk of the pie. If they can't agree on the fight, it would have to go to purse bids. They'd have to figure something out. Right? Something would happen. Something would happen, right? So, yeah, it's just going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this whole thing plays out in the coming weeks. And I'm curious to see if we get that announcement in 3 days or by the end of the week, like Eddie Hearn has claimed. I don't think we will. And I keep repeating this. I'm really curious to see if AJ wants this fight. He did not sound like he really wanted this rematch. When he was asked who he wants next, he's like, "You know who I want next." He's still, even after losing to Andrew Ruiz, he's still looking past the guy. He's still looking ahead to Deontay Wilder, even after losing to Andy Ruiz. That's not a good sign, guys. If you're an AJ fan right now, seeing how he lost, looking how he looked that whole week before the fight, and hearing all these rumors, you have to be concerned if you're an AJ fan. You have to question whether or not he'll come back the same. And I'm sure all of you are, but you have to be highly skeptical that he will. You have to be highly skeptical that he will. Because I thought he took a beating in that fight. He looked like he was in trouble from the third round all the way to the end. He never was able to recover. And Andy Ruiz got caught with a beautiful left hook too. He got caught with a beautiful right hand too. He got caught with some decent shots too. So how does Andy Ruiz able to recover from a guy who's bigger, supposedly stronger, supposedly a harder puncher? How is Andy Ruiz able to recover from shots and Anthony Joshua is not? So again, you have to say that there's probably chinks in the armor of AJ, and over time, that punch resistance has really, really started to dissipate. And I know people don't want to hear this, and I know people are like, "Oh, well, just because Ruiz did it, everyone acts like it's a victory for Wilder." Well, it kind of does validate some of the things that Deontay Wilder said about AJ. He questioned a lot of things about him. He claimed that AJ was overrated. He claimed that AJ really didn't seem like he had the heart of a champion. And I'm not going to say that, but he said that. And, towards the end of that fight, when he was hurt, and even in between rounds, he was asking, "Why am I feeling like this?" He gave the indication that he was defeated in there. And I'm not going to be like everyone else and say quit, but the body language did suggest that he did not want to be there. He did not look entirely enthused about being there. Like when Deontay Wilder got hurt against Luis Ortiz, and when Deontay Wilder was getting hit with some good shots against Tyson Fury, and he was losing that fight, he never wavered in both of those fights. He dug down deep and pulled it out when he had to pull it out. And I still believe he lost the Fury fight, but he still was able to knock Fury down in that last round and was less than a quarter of a second away from stopping the guy. So, maybe Deontay Wilder was right. And maybe this fight confirmed and validated a lot of Deontay Wilder's claims. That's how he feels. And maybe a lot of Deontay Wilder fans feel the same way. And I can understand that to some degree. We've never seen Deontay Wilder during a press conference hand somebody his belt and let them hold his belt. Like, I'm just going to be honest. And I said, I'm not going to disrespect AJ. He's a champion. He's a great fighter. And if he retired tomorrow, he's accomplished more than 99.9% of the people on this planet when it comes to boxing, when it comes to athleticism. He's got more heart. He's got more heart than most of us, because we're not in there taking shots. But at the end of the day, you have to question whether or not he has the same mental fortitude and drive that Deontay Wilder has. Does he have that same killer instinct? Does he have that same desire today that Deontay Wilder does? That is a fair question. That is a fair question. Andrew Ruiz, is Deontay Wilder protecting Anthony Joshua? Had to get past Ruiz before he can fight Wilder. Okay. That's what EJ Boxing Live says. Chakal says, I don't think that's fair. Wilder should have lost the last. I think he should have lost the last fight against Fury. I agree 110% with that. Yeah. And if you thought Joshua was overrated, why not take him the fight, nickel and dime? Well, again, we're not going to get into the back and forth about that. That this is what happens. Both sides feel they're worth a certain amount, and this is why the big fights don't happen. You can't criticize Deontay Wilder for believing he's worth something, just like Manny Pacquiao believed he was worth something, just like Gennady Golovkin believed he was worth something. Okay? This happens before every big fight, that you have negotiations, the egos get involved. You can't sit there and blame one side. That both of them had egos going in, and both of them wanted what they want. So you can't blame one side or the other. It boiled down to money, and that's why it didn't happen. But the evidence has suggested that the more time went on, the more money Deontay Wilder was going to be getting. They kept giving into more. They kept giving into all his demands. The offers just kept getting bigger. They went from 12.5 all the way up to 40 in a year's time. And if Joshua didn't lose, then they probably eventually would have gotten 50-50. That's what I'm saying. So you said you criticize, you talk bad about a fighter. He decided to postpone fighting for reasons we're fine. Again, you have the right to your opinion, but both sides couldn't agree on terms because of the money. I could just turn around and say to you, why didn't he just give Wilder 50-50 then? If he wanted to fight so bad. You know, AJ. I just don't think AJ is the same mentally. I don't think that we have that AJ has that same desire and drive to be a boxer right now. That's just my opinion. He just looked different during this camp. Doesn't matter who sells 50-50. Again, we're not going to go back and forth with the stupidity of this. You know, you don't look at the two sides, you look at the sum of the event. It was the biggest fight in boxing. Everybody, I have people in the UK message me all the time saying Deontay Wilder is very popular in the UK. Everybody knew who Deontay Wilder, like Deontay Wilder brought just as much to the table, in my opinion, than Anthony Joshua did. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Yeah, Floyd did give Manny 51-49 after a certain amount of revenue in that fight. If you go back and read the contract, it's out there. So, and Deontay Wilder wanted 50-50. Triple G, did Triple G deserve 50-50 versus Golovkin? Why did he ask for 50-50? I mean, did Triple G deserve 50-50 from Canelo? Well, you can't blame Deontay Wilder for AJ losing to a 20-1 underdog. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. This ain't a 50-50 fight now, right? Now that he doesn't have the belts. So and then he would have agreed. And then he would have agreed to the fight, and then in the rematch, he would have been locked into $40 million, even if he won the fight. It just doesn't make sense the way Hearn negotiates. No, AJ cost himself millions. It's not Wilder's fault that AJ lost. Wilder's going to get paid regardless. He's getting more money now than he ever has. Some people are saying he got $20 million for Brazil. That's what some people are saying. So doesn't matter. Anthony Joshua, I don't think is ever going to be the same. And that's just my opinion. Well, whatever the case may be, it wasn't Deontay Wilder didn't like the offer. That's his fault. That's his prerogative. Doesn't matter how many belts he has. It matters how big the fight is. Doesn't matter about the belts. No one cares about the belts. Floyd Mayweather, the belts don't make the fighter. The fighter makes the belts. Doesn't matter. The belts are meaningless. Belts. If Andy Ruiz got stripped of all of his titles tomorrow, he would still be looked at as the heavyweight champion because he beat the man. Doesn't matter. But it is what it is. This video is not about Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua negotiations. Doesn't matter. The woulda, coulda, shouldas have no meaning right now. They're irrelevant. You know, they have no meaning They have no meaning anymore. We know one thing. One thing we do know, and it's irrefutable at this point. Joshua has stamina issues and he has punch resistant issues now. That's what we do know. And to think that those are just going to go away all of a sudden, I think that's foolhardy to just assume that all of a sudden that Joshua is just going to turn into the old Joshua, his next fight and the rest of his fights moving forward. The guy's got stamina issues, and he's got punch resistant issues, and he's also seems to have desire issues right now. Does he want it? Does he want it like he wanted it before? He says he does, but Chakal says, well, Beeb, Joshua can win the next one by fighting a stinky fight. I'm going to be honest with you, Chakal. I don't think he should take the rematch right away. I think he should take a tune-up. Yeah. Yeah, but this is the difference, and I'm going to say something, and I'm not going to disrespect Anthony Joshua. I'm going to say this with all due respect. Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko had more skills than Anthony Joshua. Lennox Lewis learned how to fight on the inside. He learned how to hold and control guys on the inside. Vlad had a phenomenal jab. He controlled guys with his jab. Okay? And then when guys got close, he held. These guys had a higher boxing IQ than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, at not one point, when Deontay Wilder got hurt against Luis Ortiz, he survived that round because he held. He held. Deontay Wilder's got a better jab than AJ. AJ's jab is not the greatest. And that's the problem. He doesn't have the same boxing IQ as Lennox and Vlad did. That's just my opinion. I don't think he had the same boxing IQ. And then Vlad and Lennox, what did they do when they lost? They got Emmanuel Stewart. And he helped hone their skills and sharpen their skills, and he taught them how to transform themselves. That's the thing. Yeah, but he had the wrong game plan. He's young. You don't win a gold medal by not learning boxing. Joshua needs to rebuild. It happens. The biggest stories of boxing, how you again, he doesn't have the same skill set as a Vladimir Klitschko and a Lennox Lewis. That's just my opinion. It's going to be hard for him to rebuild because he's going to stay with the same training camp, same training team. He's going to do the same things. Unless he changes things, we have to be skeptical whether or not he's going to be different. Like I said, Lewis and Klitschko both got Emmanuel Stewart. They changed up. They became better fighters. But once again, Lewis and Klitschko did not get beat up in a fight. They got knocked out in fights that they were winning. They got knocked out by one punch and they were put out of there. This guy took a beating in that fight. It was a sustained beating. Okay? To sit there and say all of a sudden that it was the game plan, it was this and that. I mean, I've already said there was weaknesses there ever since the Klitschko fight. And from there on out, that were starting to show up. Now, can he change all those? I don't know. After the Brewster fight, did you think Klitschko? Yeah, because he was beating Brewster easily till he got caught with a shot. It wasn't, you can't compare again, you can't compare it to this. This was a beating. Just like Tyson, when he fought Douglas, that was a beating. He was never the same after that fight. It wasn't like Douglas just landed one punch and put him out. He was beating him up round after round. Those are the type of fights. Same thing with Manny Pacquiao. He was winning the fight against Marquez. He just got caught with a shot and he got knocked out, and that was it. It wasn't like he was taking a beating in that fight. You have to look at things in context. I'm not saying he can't come back, but I think it's going to be more difficult given his skill set and just given the situation. I don't know if he can change things up. I'm very skeptical about it. That's just my opinion. You know? Lennox Lewis got caught with a shot. He got caught with a shot, and he got put out in both of those fights. It wasn't like he was taking a sustained beating. Manny Pacquiao got caught with a shot. It wasn't like he was taking a sustained beating. Joshua was taking a sustained beating. Joshua has been getting hurt in all of his fights pretty much after the Klitschko fight. Dillian White hurt him. Klitschko hurt him. Povetkin hurt him. And they rocked him pretty good. And now you got a guy like Ruiz, with all due respect, who's probably nowhere near as hard as a puncher as those guys. And he's hurting him to the point where he can't recover. So you have to be concerned right now if you're an AJ fan. That's all I'm saying. You have to be concerned right now if you're an AJ fan. And you have to also ask yourself this. After Klitschko lost and after Lewis lost, did they have the same attitude and mentality that AJ did? AJ seemed relieved that he lost. He seemed that he was relieved that he doesn't have the pressure of being the heavyweight champion anymore. Even Eddie Hearn had said that. He seemed relieved. Callum Smith walked up to him and said to Eddie Hearn, he seems relieved that he lost, that he doesn't have the pressure of being champion anymore. You have to question, the mental state right now of Anthony Joshua. You have to question a lot of things about Anthony. There's a lot of things that happened that indicate to me that he just may not be as hungry as he once was. He just may not want it anymore. The guys, he even said after the fight, he was like, I got a family. He's got to stop thinking of the future now. He's made enough money to be able to live for the rest of his life. He's financially set for life. Does he want to continue and sustain damage that may be, long lasting after his career ends? So that's the thing you have to understand. That's the thing you have to understand. Boxing Spectrum said he's 260, whether it's iron, feathers, if you drip frontage, remote state building. I don't know what that means. AJ was getting beat up by Klitschko, Wilder by, okay. I don't know, man. It could have been a lot of things. But again, I don't know. I'm just skeptical. I'm not saying that he won't come back. I don't think he'll be the same. That's my opinion. But I could be totally wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong. I'd love for him to be the same. I'd love for him to bounce back and then they could eventually have that Wilder fight. But I just don't think he comes back the same way. I just don't. That's just my opinion. I don't think he wants it anymore. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I don't. And again, if you read that, click on the link, click on the YouTube link in the video, click on that article, in the description box where the video is here. All you gotta do is check and listen to Andrew Ruiz saying that he's calling the shots now. So we don't know if this rematch is even going to happen. We don't know. We don't know if this is going to be dragged out. We don't know. We just don't know because again, I just don't see Andrew Ruiz sitting down with Al Heyman and Al Heyman advising him to agree to a rematch in the UK. I just don't see that happening. And Ruiz was even quoted as saying that he doesn't think it's going to happen. I think Fury beats Wilder. I think Fury's going to beat Wilder. I thought he beat him the first time. I picked him to beat him the first time. I think Fury beats Joshua. I think Fury's the best heavyweight in the world. I've been saying that since 2014. Been saying that. I've been saying that. So I don't think it was a smart move for Wilder to announce his next two fights, Ortiz and Fury. So I don't think it was. Should have waited till after this fight. But again, he had no way of knowing that Ruiz was going to win this fight. No, none of us thought he was going to win this fight. I don't think it is in the contract because when Eddie Hearn was pressed, he said, I would like it in the UK. We're going to have to talk about that. We're going to have to figure it out. Those are Eddie Hearn's words. So when he was pressed in the interviews, he would have come out and said, well, it's in the contract. He didn't say that. We can't judge AJ's resilience just like we can't judge Ruiz's potential. Roger. I don't know. Well, we can judge his resistance. We can judge it. We can have an opinion on it. We could be wrong, but we can still have an opinion on it. I don't think it's going to get better. I think Wilder should fight Ruiz next too. Let's not forget now, Al Heyman is in control of the heavyweight division right now. Let that sink in for a bit. Al Heyman is in charge of the heavyweight division. He's in charge of the heavyweight division. And I don't think he's gonna not use his leverage here. I just don't think that's gonna happen. You know, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna give up his leverage. Wilder fights Ruiz next. He's a complete joke. Why? Ruiz won't fight Wilder yet. Needs to make money. Does anyone think Ruiz beats Wilder if they fight? I would pick Wilder in that. I would pick Wilder over Ruiz. I would definitely pick Fury over Ruiz. Definitely pick Fury over Ruiz. No chance. No chance of what? Wilder beating Ruiz or Ruiz beating Wilder. Mexican style. Mexican style. If he doesn't obey the rematch clause, he'll be stripped. We don't know that. We don't know that. We do not know that. That's up to the sanctioning bodies. Chikal says, I think Ruiz has chances with Wilder and not Fury. That's a fair point. Alex T says, no, Wilder destroys Ruiz. JC says, Ruiz have a chance, though. You make it interesting. Make it interesting. Ruiz won't beat White, says Leighton Evelyn. James Zardy, AJ won't go back to the States to fight Andy. No way. He might just be through with boxing if this is the case. AJ Boxing Live says, I got Wilder over Ruiz. Ruiz chin the key. It's got Wilder over Ruiz. Ruiz chin's the key. That's what was going to happen to Fury if he didn't rematch Klitschko. Well, he already got stripped of the IBF belt for rematching Klitschko because the IBF wanted to enforce their mandatory. So again, it's all up to what these sanctioning bodies to sit there and speculate what these sanctioning bodies are going to do is just it's like pissing in the wind. We don't know what these sanctioning bodies. One minute they enforce their rules, 1 minute they don't. We don't know what these sanctioning bodies are going to do. But Cheese had a chance but didn't go for the kill. I bet Ruiz does, says JC. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Yeah, all the belts got stripped off to Fury because he decided to retire. When he pulled out of the rematch with Vlad, he didn't want to fight any of his mandatories. So the IBF stripped him first. WBA and the IBO didn't strip him right away. WBA, WBO, and the IBO didn't strip him right away. He got stripped because he was inactive. He wasn't fighting. Wasn't defending his titles. He pulled out of the rematch. Yeah, I can't even speculate what was going on with Fury. There's so much shit that was going on at the time. I don't even know. I don't know what was going on. Yeah. All right, guys. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and just look for those notifications because I've been doing a lot of videos lately, and I'm sure as time goes on, as the week goes on, there's going to be more stories coming out. And I'm probably going to be doing more videos about these breaking news headlines that we've been getting in the sport of boxing. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me, and continue to support the channel. Continue to check out Mega Fit Meals. Continue to click that link and buy a Ringside Reporter t-shirt. Subscribe, hit the like button. And thank you for support. Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Peace out.